Thought it was our best game of the year on both sides of the ball. I thought defensively, we utilized a scheme that we haven't all year where we face guarded number one. We felt like if we could limit him to 10 or fewer shots attempted, the goal was to try to hold him to 10 or less points, which is a hard thing to do against somebody who's one of the best scorers in the country. Jimmy was awesome. He didn't come off the floor for a blow at all, and he face guarded, didn't allow Bain to catch the ball. I thought our shot selection from three was awesome. I didn't think we took any bad shots. I thought it was the most efficient offensive game we've had all season long. Desi was awesome off the bench. Jalen Harris gave us incredible pressure on the defense by pushing the ball. We ran a play that we normally only run after free throws called pistol, and we ran it after makes and misses, and we were awesome in executing it. Mason came through in the second half. What else we got?
Eric, when did you know that Isaiah wasn't going to play? You guys obviously responded well to that, and what's the prognosis for him in terms of South Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a trainer or anything. I mean, Mark and Isaiah will continue to do rehab, and today was like when we knew for sure that he wasn't going to play, and I thought we did a great job, kind of next man up. I mean, we obviously changed the starting lineup. I had a great walk this morning early with my dog, and Swish told me to stick J5 in there and to bring Desi off the bench and start Reggie, and I listened to my dog, and so it worked out well tonight.
So did you know like at 10 a.m. you're not going to start Izzy or noon?
I don't know when I don't carry a stopwatch around. We shot at 10:30.
Okay, about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the early timeout. You get Desi in, and then he and J5 with a putback. He hits a three. Desi hits his first two.
Welcome in. It's our Monday edition. It's going to be an abbreviated edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk today, as we have to make our way to Coach Musselman's press conference as he is getting set to preview their Wednesday night ball game at Nola Richardson Court, Bud Walton Arena on Wednesday versus South Carolina. So but we'll be back in our entirety tomorrow, and we'll get back to our normal scheduling. I was out sick a little bit last week on Friday, as why we didn't. I don't believe we had a show Friday. I think I was out a little down in the dumps, but we're back normal. Real quick, let you hear audio from head basketball coach Eric Musselman following their big time win this weekend at home versus TCU in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. As Arkansas prevails, I believe, by 11 points. It was a real good game. He spoke real highly of Jimmy Witt. I'm going to tell you, Demetrius, most important player on the basketball team for Arkansas this season will be Jimmy Witt now, Jimmy Witt tomorrow, and Jimmy Witt going forward. I mean, the senior is the calming force on this basketball team, and I think that's something that they didn't have last year, that one true senior that could just calm everybody down.
Yeah, Jimmy's game isn't the prettiest, but he's not a really flashy guy, but he gets the job done. He's a guy that can play sound defense and can give you an end on the offensive end. So I think Jimmy's just that all-around player that has the ability to be left on the court. And you expect him not to do anything crazy, and you know what you're going to get night in and night out from Jimmy Witt.
Arkansas concludes their non-conference at 12-1. I think it's the second best record out of all 14 schools this season for the non-conference season in particular. So that's a really good note. Also, too, we would be remiss to not mention one of probably the greatest professional athlete turned business model. Kobe Bryant passed away yesterday, as did his 13-year-old daughter, Gianna Bryant. On their way to do what, Demetrius, a lot of people always knew Kobe loved, play the game of basketball. I mean, I don't know for anybody else, but when I heard the news, I was at the ball game yesterday's Florida Arkansas women's game, and right before the first quarter, that's when I received the news. And totally shook. Never had a chance to meet the man, but being able to watch from afar from a young man that went from 17-year-old boy to 41-year-old icon, and I mean it was bigger than basketball. Still to this day, right as I speak about it right now, Demetrius, I have absolutely no words. And I know for the generation from 35 down, I mean, Kobe Bryant to the basketball players, the guys like Jason Tatum, and the list goes on and on, Trae Young, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. I mean, he was the model in which all basketball players want to play. And I don't know, what were you at, and what was your initial response when you initially found out that Kobe Bryant had perished and moved on to the next life?
I was working on the project, and a couple of my friends told me, and at first they thought it was his father that had passed away in a plane crash. So it's like maybe it's Kobe Senior, but then we got word that it was Kobe. So it's life.
Still speechless, huh?
I'm not a big basketball fan. I don't want to take anything from a loss, because a death is a death, regardless if the person is a superstar or a hero of mine, or if I had any type of admiration. But I send condolences to all the families lost.
Absolutely.
And I know he's a hero to somebody, so that's important.
They always say heroes are temporary, legends last forever. And I think for the impact that he had on both men's and women's basketball, it will forever be appreciated. I know there was a question posed yesterday to Atiana Golden, junior point guard there for Arkansas, just the importance of Kobe Bryant to her. And she initially said, for the most part, she had a little emotional moment, and that's to be expected because he has been a really big-time spokesman for the women's basketball game. I think he was probably the first male figure or male icon to have the type of platform that he has to be able to step forward and talk about the women's game. And you could just tell what he's been able to do with his daughter being the 13-year-old superstar. And for those that had a chance to watch a lot of her videos, you could see the career. But Godspeed, and all prayers go out to his wife and 3 remaining children, young ladies, and the entire Bryant family, and like I said, the Laker community, for that matter. But we also want to talk a little bit about this football team, Demetrius, here in a short period of time. Yet another recruiting weekend has gone by for Sam Pittman, as they're roughly, I believe, about a week away from signing day this Wednesday, as they'll round up the final portion of this 2020 class in the month that Sam or just a little over a month that their staff has had to go out and put together. I think it's going to be quite the class. Did just find out through Twitter, Robert Scott, young man out of Conway High School, has committed to Florida State over Arkansas and the Ole Miss Rebels. I want to say congratulations to Robert and his family. As you always hate it that they don't stay in state, but I've always been a big proponent, Demetrius, and you've heard me say this multiple times, that when kids don't play in the state and they go off and represent the state of Arkansas, as did KJ Hill, Akil Byers, Bannisters, all those type of kids, when they're able to go off to schools and represent quite well, makes the state of Arkansas even more attractive to other Power 5 schools, for years on down the road. So, I mean, I really feel like it was a situation. And I think, the partial relation, I think the relationship prior with Norvell at Memphis. I think that also too helped sway Mr. Scott Florida's way. But I want to say congratulations as yet another young man has an opportunity to realize his dreams and play college football. Unfortunately, not for Arkansas, but he does get a chance to play college football, and that's what you aspire for all kids. Don't you think, Demetrius, that kids are able to go to school and be able to leave with no debt?
Absolutely, I think that's the beauty of college football. Where kids actually have the ability to change their whole generational family history. Just by going to college or just being the first to go to college, and then not only that, going on an athletic scholarship and having the privilege to play for a university. So, I wish I would have got to pursue it longer than I did, but it's a beautiful thing.
Well, we caught up with Sidney Moncrief, former Arkansas All-Star, former Milwaukee Buck, and a member of the original Triplets, and they got it all started. He spoke with members of the media this Saturday at the TCU ball game, and here's what he had to say. And then we'll come back and close this thing out because we got more responsibilities to bring to you. We got to head to Coach Musk. We'll be back. It's on the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
We've had a week of impact in Northwest Arkansas with my nonprofit. So we've done a workshop for an elementary school in Springdale, middle schools in Bentonville, and the U of A students on last night. Perfect timing. And we also introduced our new documentary called All for the Hogs. So we previewed it this morning with the Triplets, and we had a great time, and this was a perfect game. Good timing.
What's the documentary?
Yeah, it's about how the Triplets help to close the gap with the racial relationships in the state of Arkansas. And it takes us from 1957 all the way up into when we finished playing for the Razorbacks, and how blacks, whites, Hispanics, rich, poor, everyone pulled for the Hogs, all for the Hogs. And it was partly because of the impact that we had with basketball. Very exciting, very well done piece, and we previewed it today.
You ever lose to TCU?
Did I ever lose to TCU? Absolutely not. but TCU always had competitive teams. Matter of fact, it was one of my favorite places to play. Favorite team to play against was TCU, and Fort Worth was one of my very best cities that I traveled.
We think of Jimmy Witt with the throwback game he's got.
Yeah, I like Jimmy Witt. I like his grit. I like the way he plays. He competes every play. He can rebound. He can score. He's a very effective player.
Yeah,
What do you think of Musselman's job and the job he's done? And did you have any experience with him in the pro?
Oh, yes, because when I coached for I coached for the Dallas Mavericks. He was the head coach for the Golden State Warriors. And we had to match up against Golden State multiple times per year. And I always was very impressed with his ability to have a game plan and to adjust not only during the game, but also before the game. Very good scouter, excellent recruiter, knows the game of basketball, motivator, and they're going to continue to grow and get better.
Seems like he's really recruiting.
Coach, you felt pretty good about.
I'm sorry?
When he was announced as coach.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you coached in college, you coached in the NBA, you coached in Europe, you coached in the CBA, you paid your dues, and you know a lot about basketball players, and you have a lot of credibility to offer players when you're recruiting them. I knew he would be an excellent choice.
If they've kind of surprised people, are you surprised they're doing as well as they are, as small as they are?
I'm shocked. And it's not because of the size, because if you have a smaller team, one thing we do know, you have to make shots. If you make shots, and if you get in transition and create opportunities, you can overcome any rebounding deficiency that you might have. But I'm just very surprised at how consistent they are. And they're in every ball.
And welcome back here to our closing segment, our abbreviated edition of OTH here today. Like I said, I want to make a note. We will be back in our entirety tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. For our Tuesday edition of OTH. But we let you hear audio from former Arkansas Razorback, former Milwaukee Buck, Sidney Moncrief, talking about, the bridge to Arkansas, the new series that's going to be coming out for all Razorback fans to be prepared for and be on the lookout for. And also to kind of give it a little insight as to, his impression of Eric Musselman and the job that he's been able to do. And real quick before I conclude today's show, when you look at this team, Demetrius, real quick, they go out. They're 15-4. Went 12-1 in the non-conference, or 3-3 in conference. You have 12 more conference games left. What do you think out of the next 12 games? This team, what will be the final record out of 12 games? I have this team going at least 8-4, at worst 7-5. But I have this team going anywhere from 9-3 to 7-5. Which, if they're 15-4 now, will give them 23 to anywhere from 22 to 24 regular season wins.
You know, I think the safer pick is that 7-5.
7-5.
I think with just the way they have to play to compete in and out every night within the SEC, as far as the physicality and the body sizes and the rebounding, I don't think they can do that on a long, lengthy, consecutive streak. But I think they can, string a couple of games in between there to where they can come out with around that 23-24 mark. So I give them that 7-5.
I like this group. I think 7-5 wouldn't be bad, but if they can get to 9-3, 8-4, I mean, it's going to be. I just don't see this team losing very much. I do think they're going to win anywhere from get at least 11 or 12 conference wins. I've always thought from the get-go that they finish anywhere from 4th to 6th place in the league. They could be the surprise team. As parity in the SEC is of the utmost urgent this year, I should say. I mean, anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and especially when you travel on the road. I always felt like it's going to take this year, in particular, on the SEC road games for any team. That team's going to have to hit anywhere from 9 to 12 threes to give themselves the best chance to win on the road this year in the SEC. That's my own humble and personal opinion on this season. But we'll be back. We'll get back into more guests. We've got to get things hitting off again and hitting off in a high rate. We're going to bring in a lot of Arkansas analyzation, a lot of recruiting analyzation that's going to be taking place. And our Sam Pittman interview is just, I know a lot of you guys have been hitting me up. We're in the process. We had to make it right. We don't, and my producer, we don't release anything that we're not 100% happy with. And I've seen little snippets of it. You guys are going to like it when you see it. I mean, we got a lot of really good information, and then we're going to have a lot more sit downs as we've got some things in the works. A lot's going on here at OTH. For the most part, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, with that being Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers, a locomotion located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, anything residential, commercial, anything you want to look good, contact Corey Beck. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. They're located at 989 South Razorback Road. Go down and see Keith and Kathy, get a plate of that love, and like I say on their building, it's not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles in the South. But that's going to conclude from our producer, Demetrius, myself, to all our viewers and listeners. Keep shooting in the views, keep shooting in the questions, and just all the support, as this is not just our show, it's yours too. But we got to get up here because we got the Must Bus coming through here shortly to preview Wednesday night South Carolina game, so we can bring it to you. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it.